Welcome to the Play-by-Play, a sports media talk show from Awful Announcing, where Ben is on a big unsubscribe kick this week. He is come one, come all, you email newsletter fiends, and he will slay each and every one of you. I'm Brendon Kleen, a staff writer at Awful Announcing. That's Ben Axelrod, a senior editor at Awful Announcing. We're here for you. Back. It's a Wednesday. Welcome to the show. We got two big things today. Different format. ESPN hired Charania. We will keep our running tabs on all things NBA over at the worldwide leader as Adrian Wojnarowski has departed and the fallout continues. Then we will be joined by a very special guest, Drew Lerner of Awful Announcing, to do an NFL announcer fantasy draft. We did this as an article back in the spring on the NBA side. We had a lot of fun with it. It is exactly the kind of nerdy, geeky thing that we love to do here. And so we are going to bring it to the world of the NFL as we're about a month plus into the season. Don't forget to hit follow or subscribe in all the places you're finding us, but let's dive right into our instant replay first this week, Ben, which was Charania replacing his mentor, Adrian Wojnarowski, the man who brought him into this wild world of insider news breaking at Yahoo Sports almost a decade ago now, and who is now running the St. Bonaventure's men's basketball program, leaving this hole for Charania to take over. What did you make of this news?
It was kind of, obvious thing happens. Like we talked about this. We did an emergency podcast when Woj retired, and we both agreed, like, if the goal in replacing Woj is to actually replace Woj, then there's only one answer, and it's Charania. I mean, these are the two preeminent newsbreakers in the NBA space. I think you could argue they're largely interchangeable in terms of how many stories they break and the magnitude of the stories they break. And, when one breaks a story, the other one is right behind them. And it's not, I don't feel this way. I don't feel like there's a defined pecking order between the two. So it was kind of fortuitous that Woj retired at a time where Shams was set to become a free agent after leaving The Athletic and FanDuel TV and Stadium. But I thought this was the most obvious outcome. It maybe dragged out a little bit longer than I thought. And I thought that, some of the reporting with Jeff Passan possibly being involved, or even Adam Schefter being involved, I thought that was a little strange, but I thought this was always the destination we were going to arrive at.
We called it, right? I mean, I think we both said if they are going to hire a replacement, which wasn't always a given. There was some early rumors that maybe they would just stick with their pretty considerable stable that already was employed. Brian Windhorst, Ramona Shelburne, Tim Bontemps, Tim McMahon, those types of folks. Once they chose to replace Woj in a real way, this was, to me, the only place that made sense to go. Shams has TV experience. He's been doing things for FanDuel. He's been on the Pat McAfee show for years. He is on Stadium doing interviews and live hits for their studio programming, so he at least has the reps there, like you mentioned, in the actual nitty-gritty of sourcing and breaking the news and having real information to kind of bring to air and write about. He's the only one who can hold a candle to Woj. So nothing about this is necessarily a surprise. What I think might be different, though, in terms of you feeling like they're equal, they are in their stature maybe, but not, I think, in how they could be utilized or the ways in which we'll see them kind of deployed by ESPN. So Stephen A. Smith on his podcast on Monday evening teased that Charania will be on ESPN airwaves starting Thursday, right away this week. How do you think they can use Shams differently than they did with Woj? What do you think might be, from like a NBA fan perspective or somebody who watches ESPN perspective, the tangible difference in what this shakeup will actually mean?
I think he has a little more personality than Woj had. Woj was a reporter who was good enough to do TV, but I don't think, I think like somebody like Brian Windhorst is a reporter who's really, really good at TV. I thought Woj kind of met the bare minimum of somebody ESPN would put on its airwaves in terms of being a newsbreaker, and it helps that his information is as good as it was. I think Shams is better at TV. I think Shams is more of a personality. We've seen that, with the Kay Adams stuff at FanDuel. We've seen that with his appearances on Pat McAfee. So I think we'll see more of Shams on TV than we saw of Woj. But by and large, this is just, I think ESPN trading one newsbreaker for another.
The Kay Adams, Daniel Jones nonsense made its way to my dad. That is how big of a story that became. I don't know why we can't just let women hosts exist without thinking that they're dating everybody that they interview. But someday maybe that will happen. But yeah, look, he's just good. I mean, I think I've thrown this around before, like the pardon my take test. If you can be on that show or the McAfee show and hang and actually be entertaining and play along and not be just like the guy with the stick up his ass like some people are when they end up on those shows, I think that bodes well for you. And I could see Shams opening up opportunities for himself and for ESPN that just they would have never considered with somebody like Woj. Forget who's better or worse or anything like that. It's really just a different vibe for sure. It's the new energy of how I think media works, which brings us to Pat McAfee. I'm torn on whether I think this mattered or not, or how much, or what to make of it at all. Pat McAfee, Dan Le Batard ran wild with this when it first happened, that Woj being gone was due to some kind of disrespect from McAfee having Shams on the show, and that's well known. I just didn't think Woj would care. Then there was rumors as the search was going along that McAfee might be pushing for Shams, or that his kind of endorsement might matter here in where ESPN ultimately went. And then here we are. They did go with Shams, his guy. And Pat kind of took a victory lap a little bit, saying, yeah, I sent some texts and this was a no-brainer. This is what ESPN always should have done. Does this show you Pat has some kind of power we didn't know about? Or do you think this actually factored into why they went this way? We can't stop talking about Pat when it comes to ESPN. Did this one actually evolve him at all?
Real quick, just as far as what else Shams is going to bring, one thing I forgot to mention is he's a lot younger. Like, to be 30 years old and to be in this role, like this brings kind of a new, fresh energy to the ESPN newsbreaker game, so to speak. In terms of Pat McAfee, where I come down on it is it couldn't have hurt. Like, it couldn't have hurt Shams's cause, but I mean, you and I said it, 10 minutes after the news broke, like this was always the most obvious answer. So it's like he could have given ESPN every endorsement in the world. ESPN already wanted Shams Charania. Like Shams didn't necessarily need that endorsement. I don't think
he didn't say hire this kid from Bleacher Report, right?
Right. And I don't even, because I'm like trying to run through it in my head, and it's like, okay, well, maybe they are thinking like it's going to be a real pain in the ass if we hire somebody else. And let's just say we hire Jake Fisher from Yahoo, or formerly of Yahoo, and then Pat McAfee's having Shams on every week. Like, that's going to suck. They were already dealing with that when it came to Adrian Wojnarowski. So I don't think this factored into ESPN's decision-making, but it also can't hurt. I mean, Pat McAfee is one of ESPN's tentpole talents. He's in there. He's probably one of the 4 or 5 most important talents at ESPN. So if he is putting pressure on the company publicly and privately, it certainly helps Shams' cause. But at the end of the day, like, this was the number one candidate the entire time. So, if Pat wants to take his victory lap, it all certainly adds up. But I don't know how you could say that was going to be the deciding factor by any stretch of the imagination.
Yeah, and in fairness to McAfee, I mean, it's not as if he's had a no ESPN NBA talent rule. It just seems like more so than anything, I think why the dynamic developed that Pat was like siding with Shams was that Shams and Woj had a very clear tension. And so it's probably understood that Pat has this relationship with Shams. He's not going to also start bringing on his chief rival and a guy that he might have a rocky relationship with personally. But the McAfee show has had Brian Windhorst and Kendrick Perkins and Austin Rivers, and I think even like Tim Legler has come on. Like that could have continued. I'm not convinced that if they hired Jake Fisher, Chris Haynes, those guys couldn't have made an appearance, but we will never know because Shams Charania now gets to be part of that whole world and not ruffle any feathers in the process by continuing to be the McAfee Show's go-to man. We talked about the economics. Maybe let's close here real quick, Ben. This idea of, does an insider have the same financial value as it did close to a decade ago when John Skipper leaves and ESPN makes this huge push to hire the top newsbreaker in every single sport, and these gargantuan salary figures that we were hearing about that Woj walked away from? How could he possibly do that, and all those sorts of things? John Orand at Puck reports that Shams will make less than half of what Woj was making, without, trying to split hairs about a dude's pocketbooks. Just from an ESPN standpoint, does that feel more reasonable to you, that this could be kind of where they go from here, is split the difference a little bit?
Yeah. So Woj was reportedly making $7 million a year. That seems high. Like that is like what, like that's a bench player in the NBA. That's not a minimum contract in the NBA. And so like that to me feels like a vanity hire where it's like, hey, like we want this guy because we want to stop citing him and his reports at Yahoo. So we're just going to throw a bunch of money at him. I'm sure he didn't start at 7 million, but the point stands. Let's say Shams at a maximum is making 3.5 or 3. That's more in line with like what you would figure the economics are of this entire situation. So this seems more reasonable in terms of what you are paying. It's funny because like people will see that headline. I'm actually the one who wrote the story aggregating John's report, and it's like, oh my God, Shams is making less than half. It's like, no, this is like actually a reasonable salary, and I'm sure Shams is just fine making upwards of $3 million at ESPN.
Put it this way, we all heard how much ESPN leaked that Zach Lowe was making an insurmountable amount of money that was nowhere near feasible on their balance sheets, and the world was going to end if they continued to give him that level of money. Shams will still be making double what Zach Lowe is making, right? So it's like
right.
The economics of those newsbreaker salaries just never quite felt reasonable, and especially in a world where ESPN, I think, is kind of confronting reality about the types of cuts they need to make to be in a better spot going forward. I think this makes a lot of sense. And to circle back to the point you made to start us off, they're not that different, and there's ways that they can use Shams that might actually be more valuable for the future of ESPN. It's kind of just one of those things where, hey, Woj is a really established, credible, experienced veteran guy. You got to pay him a lot of money. Shams just happens to be younger. You get lucky that you can bring on a guy who's probably going to have similar value, not have to pay him so much. I hate to put my management hat on and like be the man here for a minute, but like it might work out for everybody. And I'm sure Shams is not sweating the fact that he's probably being rewarded handsomely versus the freelance million different jobs hats he was wearing previously. So we'll continue to monitor this. Shams will make his appearance this week, and the rest of the musical chairs will probably be settled before long with some of the other names we mentioned. But that's it for Ben and I. Let's jump to our NFL announcer draft with Drew. Back here and thrilled to be joined by Drew Lerner, the newest staff writer at Awful Announcing. Drew, we're bringing you in. I think we did this with 4 people on the NBA side in the spring, and it is a great chance to really reveal the essence of your soul. So we're excited to have you get to do that. Let's get started. I randomized the draft order. I also will read off our categories here. 2 play-by-play announcers, 2 game analysts, 1 studio host, 2 studio analysts, 1 reporter, 1 wild card. We'll bounce around. You might have a taste for a reporter you really, really, really need, and then somebody else might love a play-by-play guy. That'll kind of be part of the game here, and we'll do a little blurb on what we love about each of these people as we go. I put in a list randomizer on random.org. You guys ready for the draft order?
Let's do it.
All right. Ben first, Drew second, me third, and we're doing a snake. So I get the turn 3-4. Ben will get the next turn 1, back to the other beginning of the first 4th round, and we'll do it that way. So without further ado, start us off, Ben Axelrod.
All right. I'm taking Tom Brady. I don't know. He's still a work in progress, but like his star power is unprecedented in the NFL media space. Like this would be if we were doing an NBA draft and LeBron James was available or Michael Jordan was available as a game analyst. So look, I don't know how
I
long.
mean, if we're playing like flag football amongst our broadcast teams, maybe you'd want the guy playing QB, but do we really want him in the booth?
I think that right now, like Tom Brady, if you are watching a Sunday slate and you aren't tied to any one game, or you don't have a bet or watching Red Zone, like I think that you're going to go to the Tom Brady game. Like I just think he's so fascinating. I think it's such an unprecedented situation to have him in the booth. So I will gladly take that star power number one, even if I am on record saying I will only have it for 1 year.
That's a crazy pick, Ben. That I legitimately, Tom Brady was not even on my board. And I actually agree with some of your reasoning where there's so much intrigue in what he has to say, and just the levity that he brings to the booth is definitely like worthwhile. And I want to hear what he's going to say about some of these players. But he is so far from being one of the best analysts right now that I think it's absolutely absurd that you picked him 1-1.
Look, I'm trying to make money. I'm not trying to
I was going to say
rave reviews from awful announcing.
So this is the network executive draft, like if we were, head of ABC or NBC, this is how we would pick our squad.
I mean,
this is how I am.
It's in the eye of the beholder, I think. I'm going to pick a team that I want to sit down and watch on a Sunday, but you guys are trying to make ad dollars, so we'll see how that
apparently
all proceeds,
Ben's trying to make ad dollars.
Drew, what's your pick?
My pick, number one overall, I do think you got to go play-by-play here because honestly, I think that gives the most, that's kind of the face of your broadcast. And I'm going Mike Tirico, number one overall. He brings a preparedness to the booth that I think is just not comparable to all the other number one guys. He really meets the moment. And I would say that my one criticism of Tirico, and I think this was more so when he started the Sunday Night Football gig, he was a bit of an over-explainer. Sometimes he would go too in the weeds, maybe with the rule book, but he's kind of let the broadcast breathe a little bit. And he's just the consummate professional. So Mike Tirico is my first overall pick here.
Strong disagree. Strong disagree on my end.
Play guy. Yeah. No, I don't have him. I have like some guys that are like color coordinated. That 1, 2, 3. I want to try to get. Tirico doesn't have a color. It's just a name on my board.
Yeah, I just disagree with the idea of going play-by-play one. I think there might have been some other guys you could argue play-by-play one, but like to me, like again, I'm looking at star power, and that's coming from the analyst, not from the play-by-play guy.
Fair enough, but I guess I was considering here, if you're thinking of these fantasy broadcast booths, Mike Tirico can pair with pretty much any other analyst out there. So there you go.
Fair.
Okay. Man, I'm already intimidated because we've expressed some draft strategy, and now I'm like trying to, am I doing this incorrectly? I have like 5 wild cards that I'm really just drawn to that I want to go for right now, but I think I can get them later. Oh, okay. I'm going to be that guy, and I'm going to go with Greg Olsen.
Yeah, that was my I strongly debated him at 1. So I think he is a good mix of, if you are looking for star power and obviously critical appeal, I think he makes a lot of sense.
And to your point about not going play-by-play first, Ben, I actually think game analyst is probably the thinnest category, considering we each need 2. You know what I mean? So somebody could get 2 of the best before you even get one of the top guys. So I want to make sure I have Greg Olsen in here before I go any further. And I have the next pick as well. So studio. No, I'm not going studio. I'm going to go play-by-play. I do want to get one because I'm not picking for a while here. So I'm going to go with Joe Buck. I'm staying at Fox. I'm just a company man, I guess. Joe Buck and Greg Olsen are going to be my top booth. I think Joe Buck is the best play-by-play announcer of any sport alive. I think he is absolutely phenomenal at the job, and I want him to do baseball again. That's not what we're talking about here. but that's where I'm headed. So I got Greg Olson and I got Joe Buck, and it is back to Drew.
Okay. So this is where I'm going to reveal probably some of my strategy here. And you're talking about thin categories. I think there's a clear best when it comes to studio analyst. And for that reason, I will be picking Nate Burleson as my studio analyst. He's the full package. He's got charm, insight, charisma, and he kind of gives you what you want in a studio analyst. He's just kind of a good hang. Um, he obviously has the experience with the morning shows during the week. I think that really helps, and it comes through during the pregame shows. So Burleson, he's just fun. I love him, and he's a good anchor to any studio team.
I like that pick a lot. He probably would have been my top studio analyst. I don't think people appreciate how crazy it is that Nate Burleson can be an analyst and a host. Like, you basically just got a host and an analyst. He leads so many segments on the NFL Today, and to have the versatility to do that, I'm not sure the average viewer or the average fan appreciates how difficult that is. So I really like that pick.
You're up.
Jason Kelce, come on down.
No way, with the hat on and everything.
Yeah, I got a Cleveland boy in Jason Kelce. So now I have Jason Kelce and Tom Brady. I have two of the top free agents from this past NFL sports media cycle. I just think I think I've said it probably a dozen times on this podcast. I think his spot as a studio analyst, it almost seems too small for him. I think when you have somebody who's good on camera and also has Hall of Fame credentials, that to me is the total package. So I will gladly take Jason Kelce here.
And I know it's not part of, it's all fake, but look, you also you could just pop him into the booth if you really want to. That's up to you. You're the guy selling ad dollars and all the stuff that you're interested in, Ben. So
yeah. So now I have a Jason Kelce, Tom Brady booth. I'm probably not going to pick a play-by-play guy till my final rounds, just to reveal some of my draft strategy now that Joe Buck's off the table. So, but with my second pick, I am going to take, man, this is tough. I am going to take Ryan Clark.
Good pick.
Mainly because of what I said.
Talking up Burleson, and I knew where you were going. I knew
mainly
it.
For the exact same reason. I think that he can host. He can be an analyst. He has personality and gravitas. I think he has really emerged as a former player who doesn't have Hall of Fame credentials. I think the fact that he has established himself as one of these, go-to personalities, I'll gladly take Ryan Clark here.
Yeah, his ability to just carry a segment as well is super impressive. He's always got some great metaphors that take you down a winding road, you could say. But yeah, I think him and Burleson definitely top two. Those were 1-2 on my list for that category.
And you get New
pick.
Heights and the Pivot as well, Ben, I believe. So
I'm building up quite the podcast empire.
Yeah, that's true. All right, back to me, and I'm just going to round out my booth and pick an analyst here because this guy was also number one on my list for analyst. Chris Collinsworth. I'm keeping Tirico and Collinsworth together. I think they're the best booth in football right now. Collinsworth comes with a genuine excitement every week. Some people might not love his antics or his excitability, but I think he has just a great personality for an analyst. Also, one of his strengths, I think, which is lacking in some of my other analysts on this list, is he's great at every part of the game. He's great at line play. He's great at the quarterback, wide receiver position. I think some analysts kind of tend to, focus on whatever position they played in the league. Collinsworth, I think, has a pretty, takes a pretty broad scope at it. So Chris Collinsworth, Mike Tirico, that is my booth, and I'm thrilled to have those guys on my team.
Again, I do have baseball on the brain, but you mentioned the focus on a position group. I'm not sure that John Smoltz looks outside of the pitcher's mound during any point in the game. There'll be a hit, and he doesn't even watch the ball. He just continues to look at the pitcher so he can tell you how he wiped his hand while you were looking at the home run, I think. So I feel you on Collinsworth. He loves Nobody loves a left tackle like Chris Collinsworth.
Yeah, that's true.
Okay, my turn. I'm very, very frustrated that Ryan Clark is off the board. I will just go ahead and say that. I was really banking on that one. All right. I'm going to go to... I feel like I have to get another game analyst, so I'm going to go with Romo.
Okay.
I like Tony Romo. I think that he's a fun person to talk about, and he made too many Taylor Swift jokes, so we all decided he couldn't do a Super Bowl well enough anymore. But he is very good at his job, and I don't
How do you feel
I
about
basically don't want to go Aikman.
How do you feel about the Joe Buck Tony Romo pairing you just married?
Well, I'm going with Buck Olson.
Okay,
that's right. So I was saying that's where I know Buck doesn't work at Fox anymore. That's what I was trying to say. I'm bringing them back together under one umbrella, whatever my company's called. I don't have the acronym for you guys, but BK Productions or something. That'll be my booth. Romo's partner is still in waiting. Maybe it'll end up being Al Michaels, and we'll just get completely insane or something down the road. But I'll wait on that one. So.
And this could just be the Netflix booth that has been much anticipated. I think Netflix execs should be listening to us right now.
Maybe they are. They should be. Yeah. Okay. After that, there's a person on my list that I'm staring in the face, but I don't think he's in a category that matters, and that's the problem here. I feel like I need to get a studio analyst before I get angry at you guys yet again. I'm going to go with Booger McFarland. I'm bringing him to the NFL. He is a studio analyst on the college side, obviously. He's great on studio shows at ESPN. He'll pop up on Pardon the Interruption for 5 minutes, and it's just awesome. He's on Pardon My Take constantly, the podcast. He jumps around everywhere, and he's great on both sports. Very brutally honest in a way that's not like rude, but actually gives you insight rather than just patting everybody on the back all the time. So I'm going with Booger. That's my fourth pick here. Back to Drew.
Yeah, that's a good pick, Brandon. He wasn't on my board, just wasn't thinking of the college side, but I think he gets a bad rep just because of the Monday Night Football fiasco. But you're right, on studio shows, he's brilliant. I think I'm going to steal another one of your picks based on what you were saying earlier. I'm going for the studio host. I got to take my guy SVP, fellow Terp.
That is exactly who was in my mind when I said that, so you did steal him.
Yes, yeah. I think moving SVP to Monday Night Countdown is the best talent decision ESPN has made in years. We've sat through lots of botches when it has come to ESPN's NBA studio, and Scott Van Pelt just brings a sense of professionalism to that show. They're pretty thin after their layoffs last summer, so they're lucky SVP wanted to do it. But it kind of just made sense. They would already throw to him for the post game with SportsCenter with SVP, so bringing him on to the pregame show just made a lot of sense. And for my purposes, I think he's the best host out there.
I think that's a good pick. I'm gonna stay on the studio host train. I'm gonna take Laura Rutledge. I was a little surprised she got passed over when Sam Ponder got laid off. She was linked to Monday Night Countdown as well when SVP got that promotion. And now I have a studio show, Laura Rutledge, Jason Kelsey, Ryan Clark. Like that to me sounds like an incredible studio show. I think Laura Rutledge is the glue that holds NFL Live together. I think when you have so many personalities, she's not only like, a quote unquote traffic cop, but she has her own personality. So I will gladly take Laura Rutledge here. And then I have another pick, and Axelrod Media is going to use our wild card, and we would like to select the future rights to Travis Kelce. I think when you look at, Travis Kelce getting up there in age, we're probably a few years away from retirement here. I don't know how much NFL media he has in his future, because it certainly seems like he has his sights, I should say, set on Hollywood. But I think if Travis Kelce does do anything in the NFL media space, I would like to have the rights to that and to have the ability to pair him with Jason as well. So I will take Travis Kelce here.
Great pick. I'm not sure I'm going to do the wild card yet. I don't know where you guys are going with that, so I'm not sure if it's in my best interest to waste my wild card pick this early. Um,
Considering
remind me.
Ben's wasn't even on my list, I feel like we're all safe to maybe save him. So my hunch is proving to be true. I have a lot of names that are very big names, but I don't think we're all thinking along the same track. You could go podcast host, you could do something that some random person did on a sideline once upon a time, and a beat writer, like
Yeah,
go anywhere
there's
we
a lot
want,
of
so
directions you can go there.
Brendon, what was your wild card in the NBA fantasy draft?
That is a good question that I will answer after Drew picks.
Okay, so I'm looking at the board, and I think game analyst is probably the thinnest category left. I'm going to go ahead and pick Louis Riddick. He's on ESPN's second Monday Night Football team, but I think he would fit into any booth that any network wanted to put him in. He offers really smart analysis, and I think he's great at like kind of the more macro analysis when you're thinking, where is like a team, a franchise headed? So maybe he's not so much of an on the field guy, although I believe he's still very good at that. But the big picture stuff I really enjoy with Riddick, so I would like to have him on my team here.
It was Steve Javi's sandwich was your wild card, Brendon. So
yeah, that's the best
Travis Kelce's future rights are very practical here.
We should name the category after me. If I do say so myself, that's a perfect pick. Steve Javi's sandwich should be in the Hall of Fame. Out in where is the NBA Hall of Fame?
Springfield,
Massachusetts. Clearly, I'm not going to visit it once it's there, but I'd like it to be there. Okay. My turn twice. I will go. Feel like I got to get a studio host and I got to get a play-by-play before they all start to go. I think that's where this draft is heading. So, with that said, I am going to go with Rich Eisen as my studio host. Old reliable. Speaking of Netflix, they were like, let's just check that box, get the first thing people see out of the way. Rich Eisen is more than capable and has worked there at the NFL Network for a long time. And I'm going to go with Jim Nantz. Let's just keep the booth together. I already got Romo. I don't know what another play-by-play guy's first name sounds like when he yells it. I know what Jim sounds like. So I don't want Tony to have to learn like Noah Eagle's name or something to fit into his exclamations as a touchdown unfurls. So I'm going to go with Jim Nantz as my next pick, and we are back to Drew.
I'm also going to go play-by-play with my next pick, and I'm trying to think, there's one guy that is a bit higher on my list here, but I'm not sure he's a great pairing with Riddick. But I'm going to go ahead and do it anyway. And that's Kevin Burkhardt.
I was counting on him to be my Tom Brady whisperer.
Yeah, exactly.
Interviewer.
See, Burkhardt has shown the ability to kind of be a bit of a chameleon, work with different guys. Obviously, he was great with Greg Olsen. They had a relationship going back years. But he's really shown he's a strong play-by-play analyst alongside Tom Brady because he's really had to, carry a large part of that load in the Fox booth so far. I think you could probably put him with anyone, and he would be a great play-by-play announcer. So that's my number 2 booth there: Kevin Burkhardt and Louis Riddick.
I should probably start putting some booths together here. I'm very focused on my studio show. All right, let's just let's complete a booth here. I am going to take Al Michaels as my play-by-play analyst, and I'm not going to pair him with Tom Brady because my next pick is going to be Kirk Herbstreit. If there is anybody associated with Ohio, I just feel the need to take them. Kirk Herbstreit, former Buckeyes quarterback. I actually enjoy the Al Michaels Kirk Herbstreit booth. I don't know. Is it polarizing? I feel like it's kind of polarizing.
I think Michaels has really had a very redeeming season so far.
Mm-hmm.
I was almost going to pick him with my last pick before I realized Burkhardt was still on the board. But I mean, he's just got a gravitas to his voice that just means big time football to me. So I think it's a great pick.
Yeah, I think
love-
they have a fun chemistry.
I love Al Michaels, and I can tell Kirk Herbstreit loves him, so that helps. That chemistry is certain. But Kirk Herbstreit, to me, for some reason, I mean, he's great on college. I think with the NFL, maybe I'm projecting it, but I'm always like, it feels not like his performance is mailed in, but I don't feel the passion. I don't feel like an obsession with it. It's kind of like, that's what happened. I'm super smart about football. Let's keep it moving. You know what I mean? So
that's fair.
That's why I didn't pick him. Okay, so back to Drew.
Oh, yeah. Okay. I guess I'll be the first to take a sideline reporter off the board.
Also, if it helps you, it doesn't have to be sideline. It doesn't have to be somebody who currently works sideline. You can.
Okay.
You're wheeling and dealing here. So you can say
Interesting.
this person's now going to be on sideline if you want to.
Well, that's interesting. I think I'm still gonna keep my pick here though, and that's Aaron Andrews. Um, it's really difficult to evaluate sideline reporters. You don't really see like the vast majority of the work they're putting in during a broadcast, but just having listened to Aaron Andrews in interviews in the past and on her podcast, she's a hustler. She gets a lot of information to the booth. And I'm sure a lot of sideline reporters do the same thing, but there's a level of fame that also comes with Aaron Andrews, and that you see here on the sideline. It's a big game, so I like having that brand name sideline reporter to go along with my DL Media Co. or whatever we're calling it.
Axelrod Media agrees. All about the star power over here.
New media, yeah. You're all over the athlete led stuff, Ben. Okay. This is it for me, I believe. Wait, is it? No, I have 3 more people to pick.
Oh yeah, we have one more rotation.
We have one more rotation. Okay. I had 8 listed, but I think we actually have 9. Okay. I'm going to just draft a clone of Ryan Clark. No. Okay. For my studio analyst, last spot, I'm going to go with Dan Orlovsky. He's worked with Booger on college back in the day. I thought they had great chemistry. There's a little bit of versatility that I get there. If I do go with Dan, he obviously can make the rounds in my empire that I'm building around the NFL media. And if he needs to be in a booth, 3-man, he can do that. And I just think he's super smart. And there we go. Reporter. I'm saving my wild card because I have like 4 options I could go on about, and I'll keep it. I'm going to mix it up with reporter. Actually, okay. Here I'm going to derail us completely and take back Dan Orlovsky, and I'm going to mix it up. I'm going to put as another studio analyst Peter Schrager.
Okay.
So my reporter can be dual purpose. He does Good Morning Football. He's done games. I trust that he can be versatile there. And then in reporter, I'm going to pick Taylor Rooks.
She was on my list.
Think the interviews combined with the, growing ability to actually do the game stuff and everything else, I'm betting on her to get me really, really good stuff, whether it's in the studio pregame or it's during a game or after a game or whatever the case may be. So Schrager's going to the studio. He'll do some reporting, and Taylor Rooks is going to be on the field. There we go.
She definitely has that star quality.
Yeah, exactly. All right. To wrap up my studio, I joked with Ben yesterday that Mina Kimes was going to be my 1-1. I don't know what pick this is, but it is going to be Mina Kimes now. One, I think her and Burleson would be just a great pairing. That would be fun to watch on television. But of course, you have to, respect Mina's body of work on ESPN with NFL Live. She's a great analyst. Love hearing her break down film. So she's my next pick.
It's a good pick. All right, this is it for me. I've got a reporter left. I got to play
by question before we get your pick. Do we think Netflix is going to hire permanent people if they keep doing games, or do you think that they're just going to do this licensing thing every year? Because we could be talking about another team being assembled. Otherwise, I just look at a lot of the names we're listing, and it's like the third or fourth people, or got folks who don't even have like the jobs we're putting them in quite yet. What do you guys think about that? Is there a chance another booth gets or another whole crew gets assembled in the next few years?
I think I think they'll start with one, and if it works out, they'll gladly continue with it. And if not, they'll move the pieces around and find people who do work. I think it will probably be a little bit of trial and error on their end. If I had to guess, it is weird, like to just have them drop in and all of a sudden be a NFL media rights holder for like 2 games a year.
Yeah, and for them to not have their own people, right?
Right.
Exactly. You got to imagine a lot of the NFL media guys will go like Rich Eisen, but I can't remember exactly what the contract situation was. If Netflix has the ability to maybe add a third or fourth game on Christmas Day, depending on what day of the week the holiday falls, and that could get interesting if they have more than 2 games in a day.
All right, Ben.
All right. I need a play-by-play guy to pair with Tom Brady. I'm going to go with Spiro Dides, mainly because he is the play-by-play guy I am the most familiar with, as he has called, I think, every Cleveland Browns game since 1999 on television, except for like those random years where they would give the Browns, big national TV games and immediately regret it. So I'm going to go with Spiro here and pair him with Tom Brady. And I saw the Steelers fan Drew laughing. So I
the fourth CBS team is certainly right where the Cleveland Browns should be.
1:00 on Sundays, never miss it. And then my reporter is going to be Jeff Darlington, mainly just because if anybody gets arrested, I will have a leg up on the competition. He will be there. He will be authoritative on it. And he always seems to have the inside track on those stories. So I'm a big fan of Jeff's and a big fan of the news that seems to follow him. Although I'm not a fan of people getting arrested, so I probably shouldn't.
Is it a bat signal of like his coiffed hair or something? Like, how does he just appear wherever he needs to be? It's impressive.
It really is. It's like I feel like it's going to be the next CBS sitcom, that targets the 60 to 75 demo.
Yeah.
All right. I'll wrap things up here. I think I just have my wild card left. Only one on my big board for the wild card, and that is Drew Essokoff, the director of NBC's Sunday Night Football. I think he regularly puts together the best produced NFL game every week. The speed with which NBC gets to the correct shot on their games, I think, is really impressive compared to the other networks. I know it's a bit unfair because NBC just has one game every week. The other networks are spread a little thinner. But when it comes to game production and what you're looking for, getting to those right shots, those close-up bummage shots, Esikoff is really like a master at that. And so I would love to have him directing my games.
I wish that I could weigh in there, but I am going to go ahead and defer to your judgment. And you're keeping everybody at NBC very happy. I can tell you that. You got.
I know. Yeah. It seems like I'm in the tank, but I promise I'm not.
Nobody from Football Night in America in this draft. Which
surprise. No yeah,
Matthew Berry. I have Maria Taylor high on my
wild
list.
Card.
Jason Garrett was there for the taking and nobody took him.
Okay. Let me read some names we didn't hit here that we could have. So play-by-play, I had Noah Eagle, Chris Fowler, Gus Johnson, Joe Davis. We didn't take any of them. Game analyst, I had Charles Davis, Dan Orlovsky, Jason Garrett. We didn't take any of them. Studio host, neither Fox's nor CBS's vet guy got taken here. Carissa Thompson, Mike Greenberg, all left. Chris Berman, somebody could have gone deep and taken Chris Berman. We didn't get that.
Maria Taylor.
Maria Taylor. Oh yeah, she's crossed off, but exactly. Studio analyst. I mean, there's a million we didn't hit. We didn't touch anybody in Football Night in America. Michael Strahan could have been in there. Rob Gronkowski could have been in there. Kurt Warner, we mentioned NFL Network. I thought about Kyle Brandt as an option there. Richard Sherman, we didn't touch anybody from Thursday Night Football. Reporters will skip. Wild card is where I will wrap here. I want you guys to understand how long I thought about picking Aaron Rodgers in this slot.
Oh God.
I mean, if he could behave, it would be pretty good TV. He's pretty smart. You get why McAfee originally brought him on before he started reading too many weird books, you know what I mean? But instead I'm going to go with Shannon Sharp.
Ah.
Whether it's studio, whether it's an interview, whether it's, I mean, throw him in a booth for all I care. Maybe not every week, but I'll take it for one. One of the most popular, exciting dudes in sports media. He is close enough related, worked at CBS forever. There's a tangent that apparently he's supposed to do some NFL stuff at ESPN as part of this new contract. We'll see if that ever happens. But I'm bringing Shannon into the mix. Does anyone think that they didn't win the draft? Is there anyone who looks at another person and thinks that their team's not the best? Yeah, probably not.
I love my team, but if you want to talk to me about a Ryan Clark, Joe Buck based trade, I think we could work something out, because you seem very upset I got Ryan Clark, and I'm pretty upset you got Joe Buck.
Yeah, I'm not seeing a lot. I don't exactly think Spiro Dides is the sweetener that I'm going to need for that trade, Ben. I wish I could
get a lot of
out,
Browns games. You'll get a lot of Browns games.
Yeah. Yeah.
I detected a bit of homerism on Ben's team, so I think yeah, we'll let the fans decide though. Are we putting these rosters on Twitter?
We should. We absolutely
should. Put together some sort of
put it up to a vote. Yeah.
Who calls the most Cardinals games? I mean, I'm getting like Fox's fourth booth most weeks.
Adam Amin.
Yeah. It's the Mark Schlereth booth. I don't even know who the play-by-play guy even is with him most of the time. But
real quick, you got Brady this week. What were your takeaways from the Brady experience?
Yeah, and I actually watched the game with my dad, which I don't always do. And we both agreed it's like the thing that I came away thinking more this time, I've watched, I think, 2 or 3 full games of his now, is that it doesn't come across like he ever watched NFL broadcasts before this year. Like, I don't think that he has a feel for what's not relevant, I guess I wouldn't say, but he doesn't have a feel for what's like particularly thoughtful and like insightful to the average fan. I think that he thinks he's saying stuff that is not obvious, but it is. You know what I mean? Like, I know people got on him for like the don't have negative plays stuff in week 1, which was probably just, that was never going to stick. But even beyond that, it's things where I think he feels like he's really reading the game and delivering it, and it gets so dumbed down that it ends up just being kind of the most obvious thing, like 3rd and 4, they need 5 yards here type things. You know what I mean? It's like, all right, dude, like, come on.
And it's interesting because before the season, he said his, biggest concern was, being too jargony, getting too deep into the analysis. And I completely agree with your assessment here. He's kind of dumbed everything down. He just seems really timid. I think that's the word I would use for him so far.
I just, as somebody who watched him week 1 call Cowboys Browns, and then I watched a lot of that 49ers Cardinals game because I was trying to hit an over that never came. I thought he improved. I think he's getting better. I think there's hope there. I'm to put a bow on this. I stand by him as my number 1 pick.
I was going to say, Drew, what would Ben have said if he didn't take him first overall? What would the analysis of his performance this past week have been if it wasn't on Axelrod Media's payroll?
Yeah, it wouldn't have been that rosy, but I didn't watch the game this week, so maybe he was better.
Yeah, I think he'll continue to improve, but I think he may make like, Frito-Lay happy or whoever Ben's trying to impress here with his draft, but not me. Not me. Yeah, there you go. All right. Very great draft. Thank you for joining us, Drew. We will have you on more, I am sure, and we will let the people decide who won the draft. Let's move on to our hot mics and wrap up the show. All right, Ben, let's close out with our hot mic. Big thanks to Drew. People tell us how we did here with the draft, but the hot mic is every week Ben and I bring something to the table that caught our attention, that made us raise an eyebrow, that we loved in the world of sports media. It seems like we are both getting a little in the business weeds here, Ben, but kick us off.
Yeah, I'm going to go with AEW, All Elite Wrestling. They signed their new media rights deal with Warner Brothers Discovery. It was uh, a deal that seemed to take a while to come together. Tony Khan, the company's president and owner, said back in June that they were in the red zone on a deal, and the deal didn't officially get announced until I believe it was October 2nd. But all indications are this is like a massive win for AEW. It's a 3-year deal with a 4th-year extension, but it's valued at $185 million per year. So to put that in perspective, this is going to make AEW the second most profitable pro wrestling company, at least in this 3-year span, in pro wrestling history, behind only WWE. So you think about all the other pro wrestling companies that have formed and the TV deals they have got, and this is probably, other than WWE, the most impressive. So I think it says a lot about AEW for all its faults. And I certainly have not been shy to criticize them and some of their creative in the last couple of years. But, the proof is in the pudding here. And to get this deal signed and to do it with Warner Brothers Discovery, which obviously isn't just handing out money to anyone these days, I think it was a really impressive deal for for AEW, I should say.
Why do you think it was so short? Is that normal for the pro wrestling world? Like, does WWE do short deals like that? I think their Netflix one is like 8 years, right? So, or something like that.
WWE's with Netflix, I think, could it's a 5-year base deal that's probably going to wind up being a 10-year deal, but I think 5 years is pretty standard. I do think the short-term nature of the deal does speak to some of the uncertainty, both with AEW and especially with Warner Brothers Discovery. I'm not sure Warner Brothers Discovery is in a position to be handing out 5-year deals worth $500 million right now. So, but yeah, I think that is something that stands out, because 2 years from now, we'll be having these same discussions about the future of AEW and its viability. But at least in the short term, I mean, this company is profitable, and that is something that was not going to be certain as recently as 6 months ago.
Was there any, I mean, I know you've covered this a bit, like, was there anywhere else that they could have gone?
Well, the rumor is they're negotiating with Fox. The rumor is that this media rights package is not complete, and that they could have an element not even on FS1 but on Fox National. Now, that is far from certain, but if WWE just left Fox National after a 5-year deal with SmackDown, and so if Fox were to replace them with AEW, that would be pretty seismic in the pro wrestling industry to have a non-WWE company on national television.
Yeah, interesting. I guess from the WBD standpoint, to me, I don't know, like, I'm not nearly going to pretend to be as well sourced as a lot of the people who are doing the reporting on this stuff, but a lot of them seem to be coming around to the idea that Warner Brothers has, if not nailed, kind of made good on its promise to be able to find enough other sports deals to make up for losing the NBA. I mean, we'll see as these agreements with the carriage companies come to pass, and they probably will take a hit on all of them, but I'm sure they knew that when they decided to move on from the NBA. But they've at least managed to sprinkle a little bit of wrestling here and football, college football there, and we'll see what happens with baseball, which I'm going to get to in a second. But I don't know. I feel like kind of mission accomplished. If you went into it knowing you could lose the NBA, this is a pretty good like plan B or kind of landing spot for them.
Yeah, and that was something that I think was kind of a fork in the road probably for these negotiations was, so WBD loses the NBA. So on the one hand, that's bad for WBD because they lose those rights fees, or it diminishes their value in those negotiations. On the other hand, it leaves WBD with a lot more money and with a more significant need to keep a program like AEW. So ultimately, in the end, I think this deal tells you how it worked out for AEW, and it was a net positive.
All right, let's jump to baseball for my hot mic this week, where John Orand of Puck is reporting a lot of different details about the future of Major League Baseball on ESPN. And so basically where we are with this, Ben, is that ESPN pays $550 million a year to baseball for its rights. I believe it has an opt-out in a couple of years, and negotiations have already begun where they're already talking to just kind of get a feel for, I think, what ESPN needs, because I think that baseball realizes they need ESPN far more than ESPN needs them, and they want to make sure that there's at least some package still being strung together. Oran reports, maybe a few more games or the All-Star game. They just have the home run derby right now. Stuff like that could be on the table. But the more interesting part to me was ESPN's continued pursuit on a day where we just heard that more MLB teams will be running their own broadcasts in 2025. The Rangers, I think, maybe being the most notable of the batch that was just announced on Tuesday, that ESPN wants some of those local rights. And teams like the Dodgers and the Yankees aren't going to give up their deals locally. Some of these teams that maybe have already jumped to their own self-sufficient type of thing, maybe they just say, we're keeping ourselves out of that. But from an ESPN standpoint, this is going to make subscribing to whatever their next version of themselves is, this flagship program, this direct-to-consumer app that they're going to charge people $50 a month to use. I really do think this could be a pull, even if it's regional, even if it's on a small scale. I think it's a smart opportunity for them to seize on here, and keep some sports rights that'll actually be must-have for a lot of people.
And give us more day games. We need more day games during the summer and during the week. They shouldn't just be limited to the weekends and the random Thursday afternoon. That's part of the appeal of soccer to me. Is European soccer is you get action during the day, and so if you're the ESPN flagship and you have the exclusive rights to daytime baseball, I will subscribe to you the same way I subscribe to Paramount Plus for their soccer package. So that's where I come out on it as the selfish viewer. Is I would like to see this package get more day games.
Yeah, Oran does also mention that the companies like Amazon already kind of had its own involvement in the local sports with the Valley Sports regional networks. At one point, they kind of a will they, won't they pursuit of some of those. I think that's still kind of to be figured out. And we knew that with the NBA, there was some idea of League Pass maybe being up for grabs, and Amazon seems to have more of the entirety of the streaming rights in other countries versus America. And both of those companies, Google and Amazon, appear to be in pursuit of these local rights competing with ESPN. So it's not like they're just going to get them. I guess MLB's in a good position to kind of turn an emergency into an opportunity here if they can actually make some money on this. But I don't know. To me, it's like there is a little bit that you lose with the delocalization of some of these broadcasts for all of us who grew up watching our favorite guys talk and that kind of local flair and stuff. But if the alternative is like it getting way harder to watch these games, or for these teams to really take a financial hit, I'm going to be fine tuning into ESPN to watch, D-backs Padres on some random Thursday night. Seems like the best of all the alternatives at this point.
Yeah, I think the Diamond Sports Group, especially in the last few years, that experience has been such a disaster. I can only speak to what we've experienced here in Cleveland, that it's kind of at the point where it's like, just tell us where the games are and where we can, reliably get them. And that's like, we'll worry about the other stuff later, whether we like the broadcasters or whether we want a more local feel, but like, just give us like a consistent place to find these games that aren't jumping around from app to app or from cable service to cable service.
How is it in Cleveland? Are they still on a local network, or did they go to their own mix this year?
It actually just came out right before we started recording that MLB is taking over.
So they're one of the ones for today.
Yeah, they're taking over their rights for next year, and they're going to handle it, which always kind of seemed like the end game here. But it'll definitely be interesting to see the fallout there, because the Guardians / Indians have been on Fox Sports Ohio / Bally's since I can remember watching them.
Yeah, the D-backs moved to MLB produced games this year for the first time. They may be able, they didn't have a local over-the-air connecting. So it was just streaming. You had to pay. And these packages are overpriced. Like, I care about the D-backs. I want to watch the games. I didn't pay this year because it was like $15 a month. I know I'm not going to sit there planted at my couch every night. I'm going to catch a few here and there when I want to. I'm also more of a Padres fan at this point, so I can watch those games for free with the MLB thing that I may or may not share with other people. And then, it's like that math doesn't shake out. So if you tell me I can pay ESPN, which I'm probably already going to be doing, and I also can watch my baseball team, to me, as long as the league can get enough out of that financially to start to make up some of what they were getting on the regional deals and the older model, I think from a fan standpoint, that makes all the sense in the world. I'm not going to pay for D-backs games right now, but I would if it was like 1.5% of what I'm paying ESPN or something. So I don't know. Maybe I'm rooting for this a little bit at this point because it's just been such a nightmare for the past 4 or 5 years.
I can just tell you, like, based on my experience on social media, when it came out that MLB is taking over the Guardians' rights, like, it was a big celebration on my timeline. Like, a lot of people just fed up with the Bally's experience, the Diamond Sports Group experience, and are just ready for like something sustainable, because this has not felt sustainable the last few years.
All right, that'll do it for us this week. Hit follow or subscribe wherever you found the show. We're here for you each and every Wednesday. Also, read awfulannouncing.com. Sign up for our newsletter. Check us out across social media. We're covering this stuff. If you love this world, we are the place for you. We're doing it every single day, every single minute, really. I will be out next week. Ben will be holding it down. We'll be back 2 weeks from today to talk about the wild world of sports media once again. Enjoy your week, and we'll talk to you then.